confused. Are the Leafs tanking? Not in this game, they're not. Good. Let's go! It starts with an A and ends with anxiety. Off the charts levels of passion! That's just a nightmare! With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Victory, puppies! That is $50 to the Humane Society of Durham Region. Leafs win 5-4 in overtime over the Anaheim Ducks in Anaheim. A lot happened. Jeez, I'm gonna do my best to talk about it. I was about to say, unless you've been living in outer space, you know why this game was a big deal, and then I remembered Chris Hadfield watched Leaf games in space. Radko Gudas, knee-on-knee hit on Austin Matthews. He gets suspended 5 games. Wow, I'm sure that'll teach him a lesson. Matthews, MCL injury, rather significant. He's out 12 weeks. Notably, the Leafs did, what? What did they do? Nothing, that's right. And really, it's defined every Leaf game since. Well, maybe not every Leaf game. There have been a couple mail-ins, but a lot of them. It's been a larger discussion throughout the league that teams are sticking up for each other more because it's embarrassing not to. And so what happens? Not that the Leafs have a goon squad. They definitely don't have a goon squad. But Craig Berube dresses what is the closest thing to a goon squad and Brandon Carlo. So, which one of them is going to take on Radko Gudas? It ended up being Max Domi, someone who Radko Gudas has fought before. And Max Domi tuned Radko Gudas like an old guitar. Now, Gudas didn't throw a punch, not because he sucks at fighting, unless he, maybe he does, but I think it was just he was, as they said on the broadcast, taking his medicine. So he fought because he had to fight, but then he stayed in the game. He stayed in the game for a long time, and then he left the game, and then he was on the bench. None of that made any sense. At the end of the day, that's your captain, and he's already fighting an injury, and realistically shouldn't have played in this game, and you're leading the Pacific Division. You got a playoff coming up. Him taking his lumps off the opening draw, I understood. Him playing the remainder of the game made no sense. And listen, it's all great that Domi got his licks in, and maybe that makes you feel a little bit better. Ducks are still killing you. Leo Carlsson gets one, then it's on the power play. Cutter Gauthier gets one. All the while, I like chirping the Department of Player Safety. I really make an effort. I really do try to not go after the refs, because you could do it every game. Yo, this game was bad. And then they announced the refs, and it's like, oh, Wes, how are you always there? George Peros is there, and all of a sudden you throw out the bat signal for the most anti-Leafs ref there is, especially in games that threaten to get out of control. So the game didn't start very good for the Leafs. But then they miraculously get their own power play, and John Tavares, who scored first and last for the Leafs, cuts the lead to 1. So, all right, this isn't just a try to get a piece of as many guys as you can kind of game. This is a hockey game. Now, it should be mentioned, a Duck was injured after their second goal. Cutter Gauthier got a cross-check from Jake McCabe. You're not allowed to do that. Scored on the very same play, and then he left the game. I haven't seen an update. My guess is it's not a serious injury on account of that shot looked pretty good, but he did leave the game and didn't play for the rest of it. He is one of the greatest goal scorers in the league right now. The Ducks cannot afford to lose him. My guess is he's not out long term. He definitely won't be out 12 weeks. Second period. All right. Maybe this is going to be a crappy hockey game. John Carlson scores shorthanded. Oh, and it's his first as a Duck. There's a free space. And the refs try to calm it down because Michael Pezzetta is out there running around. Here's what I hate about this. Pezzetta shouldn't have done what he did. He was grabbed by the linesman, a huge linesman, and he got in his face too much. And you get kicked out of the game for that. You cannot make contact with an official. They're allowed to shove you. They're allowed to shove you off the ice and almost injure you, just like that time that happened to Michael Bunting. That's something that you forgot, and now you remembered, and you're mad all over again. Remember when that happened, and then nothing happened after that? It's a sick league. It's so good. It's really good. The guys at the top, they know what they're doing, and they're into fair play. They love that. What I don't understand is Pezzetta wanted to fight. Vail wanted to fight. Let them fight. They wanted to fight each other. They have fought each other. Just let them fight. But no, you had to get in between the guys, and now all of a sudden you are in charge of fixing a problem you created. This is what I don't get about fighting in hockey. Is it allowed or not? I know it's obviously not allowed. That's what the 5 minutes for fighting is for. But why do you get out of the way and clear stuff out of the way and all right, everyone, we're gonna have a good clean tussle some of the time. And other times you're like, I'm gonna throw all my limbs in front of this. It's two willing combatants. I didn't see the problem. They did. Pizzetta took it too far. He got kicked out of the game. I understand. Mintyukov goes at Domi. Props to the kid. Domi goes at Mintyukov. That's Domi's second fight of the game. He gets kicked out of the game. A rule that I never see enforced on account of when was the last time you saw someone fight twice in the same game? Sorry, twice in the same game in the first half of regulation. Because it probably happens in the third period all the time and you don't notice. This happened less than halfway through the hockey game. McCabe goes at Gudas again and he's got to fight again. Again, I don't know why Gudas continued to play. And shortly after that, he didn't. Now, here's the part that puts a smile on my face, because all the fighting and stuff and the code and whatever, that was great. But the more the game went, I was like, I don't like you. And I think, even though the Leafs are sort of tanking, I'd like them to beat you. Yeah, no, I want them to beat you. I don't like you. But the Leafs are down 3-1. I gotta remind you. Kind of like how the Leafs were down 3-1 when they beat the Ducks in Toronto. Nyes gets one on the power play. Nylander ties it minutes later. Here's the funny part. With all the shenanigans that happened in the first period, with all the shenanigans that happened in the second period, the Leafs took one singular penalty in the third period. It was in the dying minutes, and it was too many men. But short-handed, puck goes to the trailer, Morgan Riley rips it! Exactly 3 minutes to go, and wouldn't this be something? Well, it would have been something, but you know the bummer about scoring a short-handed goal? This is why the PWHL is great. The bummer about scoring a short-handed goal is in the NHL, you have to go right back to killing the penalty. The PWHL, you don't have to do that. Jailbreak! Leo Carlsson scored. Leo Carlsson had an eventful third period. So let me rewind and go back there. During the intermission, I muted the TV, okay? I was watching something. So I missed the opening seconds of the third period. And when I looked up, I saw Leo Carlsson being helped off the ice. And oh my God, that looks like a knee injury. Oh no. Oh no! Oh, why did it have to be him? Why did it have to be him? Why did it have to be his knee? Listen. After the game where Matthews was injured by Gudas, I said some wild stuff. I said the Leafs should ask Leo Carlsson which knee. I didn't say a Leaf should take him out at the knees. I said they should try to scare him, which is something that every NHL player does every single game. And then I see this guy get it. Oh my God. Show the replay. What happened? Oh my God, what happened? Oh, he collided with his teammate. I'm still, why did it have to be him? Why did it have to be his knee? And then he returns to the game and is like the fastest player on the ice. And he scores a game-tying goal on the power play. So we go to overtime. And the Leafs tried. Genuinely tried. Like this, the Ducks are leading the Pacific Division. And the team that gives them fits, the team that they got 1 out of a possible 4 points off of, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs were like, take it. Take this game. We're going to do a really stupid line change. We're going to go 2 guys at once, which why would you ever do that 3-on-3? Okay, go ahead and score. The Leafs gave the Ducks every opportunity to win that in overtime, and just when it seemed like we were heading to the shootout, the Leafs decided no. Easton Cowan, who had the puck on a string, he gets it to Morgan Riley. I couldn't believe this from Mo. I wanted him to get into a scrap, but he ended up actually having a pretty good game. He throws it on. John Tavares' net front gets the tip. Leafs win the game. I don't care about the standings. We needed this one. Justin Fisher, our social lead, said this, and he was so right. They were never going to lose every single game for the rest of the season. They might as well win this one. Want to see who got the belt? Max Domi, who got kicked out less than halfway through the game. Hell yeah, dude. I love that. Questions. Oh, Brad Treliving got fired. I made a video about it, though. Maple Dogs 82 says 61 to 32 penalty minutes. That's normal for a 5-4 OT game, right? That's just balanced, logical officiating, right? Listen, I didn't like all the calls in this game, but the Leafs did take more penalties because the Leafs did more chippy, dirty things because the Leafs were the angry team because they deserved to be the angry team. The Ducks captain injured their captain for 12 weeks. Also, like a quarter of that is Pozzetta. Are we giving away the 6th or 7th overall pick? I gotta be honest, man. I'm exhausted by that conversation. This is so complicated with the top 5 pick protection, whatever. So Jesse always points this out on the podcast, and he's right. If the Leafs were to get, I don't know, the 3rd overall pick this year, you still have to give up a pick, though. Just not this year. You have to give up a pick. You have to give up 2 picks because you also gave one to the Flyers. And anyway, that's why Brad was fired. Dude, I just don't know if the Leafs can be bad enough to get into a top 5 pick. Let's say the Leafs finish 5th last. There's no guarantee at all they pick in the top 5. They can be passed by multiple teams. They don't need to be passed by multiple teams. They need to be passed by one. And it gives the Bruins the 6th overall pick. You know how many teams in the NHL the Leafs are ahead of right now? 10. They're tied with the Predators, who are in a playoff spot. They have played more games than everybody else, but my point still stands. They are better off giving Boston this year's pick and just trying to make the pick as bad as possible by winning as many games as possible. There's 7 games left, all right? Let's say the Leafs win 2 of those games. That's 4 points. That gives the Leafs 81. How many of the 10 teams below the Leafs are passing them? Vancouver, Chicago, New York, Calgary. No. So there's 4. The Panthers have lost 3 straight. They're not trying to win, like, at all. The Blues are straight up good. We'll see. It's crazy that they have a realistic shot at a playoff spot. They are currently 28th place. The West is wild. Does Winnipeg pass you? They only have 74. The Sharks, the game this week is fascinating. The Kraken, Bobby McMahon is trying to help them win. They refuse to win. The Kings, fascinating that you get to play them. I think you just let the cards fall where they fall, and if you get like a miracle lottery win out of it, hey, great, you deserve it. You are giving up a pick to Boston, and it is gonna suck that you're doing that. The miracle scenario where you somehow win the draft lottery and get a top 3 pick and end up making the playoffs next year and give the Bruins a crappy pick, so many things need to happen, all in the positive direction for you, in order for that to happen. Like Radko Gudas did tonight, take your medicine. If you end up giving him the 9th pick or whatever it is, so be it. I don't like it either, but it's spilt milk and you can't go back in time. Oh, here we go. March 30th, there is no puck. Apparently John Tavares disagreed. In all seriousness, was the bell answered? Do Leafs fans feel justice was served? Well, the bell was definitely answered. Listen, some people think it was a bit performative, and other people are pointing out, rightly, that the Leafs failed to answer the bell in the moment. That is true. They did fail to answer the bell in the moment. You are, however, allowed to learn from things. I hated that they did that in the first meeting between these two teams also. But all they can do is play and make up for it in the games that they have ahead of them. Again, they can't go back in time and fight Radko Gudas in the moment. In the same way that George Peros can't go back in time and watch one of his favorite teams not lose. Was justice served? I guess. The justice part is supposed to come from the Department of Player Safety, is what's lost in all this. And I think part of the reason this got so out of hand is the suspension sucked. 5 games to take a captain out for 12 weeks. League stinks. I genuinely hope there are no long-term injuries for the Ducks out of this ridiculous spectacle of a game. So is the debt settled? As much as the debt can be settled in the NHL. There are some teams, by the way, who never consider a debt settled. Enter the Florida Panthers and their hatred, bitter, deep hatred for Brandon Hagel. Which, by the way, Peros, if I remember correct, went to a Lightning Panthers game, just to make sure it doesn't get too out of hand. And he goes to this game in Anaheim, to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. Why is it George Peros is only there to make sure things don't get out of hand for the aggressor? Tampa lost their minds this season, especially at the beginning of the season, because Florida would not ever consider a debt paid. You owe Florida a debt for life, and you owe that debt in blood. That's how they operate. Tampa said, okay, and they signed all the biggest, toughest meanies they can find, and they set them on the Panthers, and George Peros said, well, that's ridiculous. We're going to have to punish you now. Radko Gudas takes out Austin Matthews and then gets suspended for a crappy suspension that you suspended him for. And now, all of a sudden, you're attentive. You never hear about George Peros just showing up to games because he likes it. Like, what does you being in the stands really do? They should have just threw a jersey on him and had him drop the ceremonial puck while he's there. You know, make yourself useful there, George. So was justice served? I don't know, I guess. Is the debt paid? The best teams in the NHL operate you owe them a debt by literally existing. If you are on one of the other 31 teams, you owe. That's how the league works. It's a hard league. It's a tough league. It's a league full of nut jobs, and you are on your own. The league is not going to protect you. And the only way it appears they will protect you is if you're the aggressor. So the only way to be protected by the league is to be the aggressor. Sounds backwards, right? But think about it. You know I'm right. It's true. We understand that now, and hopefully whoever the Leafs hire to replace Brad Treliving will also understand that and know how to implement it. Treliving's teams were supposed to be built on snot. And boy, were they not. And that's ultimately what got Brad Treliving fired. Like, forget not building a good team, which is bad enough. You built a good team because you tried to make a team play a certain way, and they don't even do that. You cannot more clearly fail your mission than that. Not only is the team bad, they don't play the way that you said they would play. But, like we've already covered, you can learn from your mistakes. So, what did you think of Fight Night in Anaheim? Let me know in the comments down below. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like to. Tell your friends. We got a brand new Steve Dangle podcast tomorrow. We got the Treliving news to talk about. We got this ridiculous game to talk about. It is currently 2:07 a.m. Drew. Hey, buddy. Hope you had a good sleep. Okay, bye.